So, hello everybody, welcome back to another episode from Whalejaw 3D. In this episode, we're going to tidy up our model ready for 3D printing. Now, what do we need to do to tidy up? If you look at this front end, at the minute, it's nice and tidy, but I did film a little bit about tidying up this front end, so if I show you that now... So, it comes to my attention that the model was not finished, you know what I mean? I've had to come in and tidy up this little front back wing bit here. Now, if I press undo, you can quickly see what I've done to it. Yeah, we've kind of just gone around and smoothed it up, haven't we? So because we had like a sharp edge down there, so if we go back forward, we can see here, can't we? This geometry is all kinds of messed up. It's not like keyed in, and if we've learnt anything, it's how to fix that, isn't it? So, if we move it over here, keep going forward, obviously came in and solved this, didn't I? So... I sorted out all that edge there. I put an extra loop in to solve a triangle on the top, and then I came down here, fluffed it out a little bit, and then I realised that this typology wasn't great, you know what I mean? So I came in, I've started deleting loops, I've put one edge in there, and if we remember, we've got to do the corners, haven't we? Those exact corners right there. Now we've triangulated it, we can start ditching some of this geometry, can't we? So if we keep going, we delete those loops there, and then we start to merge those loops into that corner so that we lose a line. Yeah, straighten them up. And then obviously I've got to tie that in, haven't I? So I chucked a loop in, tied it in, which meant that we didn't need that one anymore, did we? So we've dissolved that one, and it's the same for this one. We don't technically need it, but we need it up there, don't we? So I've obviously merged that one into that one, which then revealed that we don't need that middle one anymore, do we? Yep, so we've deleted that one. Same again for the top one. I think this is as far as I got, and I thought I best start showing you this, you know what I mean, because it's a lot cleaner, this setup, than I showed you, you know what I mean. That's probably why we had a rage quit, because while you're building it, you're just building it, you know what I mean, but at the end, you got to come in and tidy it up. So I might as well tidy it up with it. So if we dissolve those edges, we've got, it's just so much cleaner, isn't it? You know what I mean? We can come in and sort that wheel out, that wheel well. But we need to do what we did there for this side as well, don't we? And it makes me wonder, do we need this geometry in here? You know what I mean? That one's obviously carrying this here, so we kind of need it, don't we? Well, is it worth now chucking it in the middle, you know what I mean? Because it's a bit lopsided, really, isn't it? Came in, just chucked it in the middle, you know what I mean? It's just going to tidy up that no end, which means we've obviously got to follow through now, haven't we? And tidy the rest of the model up, kind of thing. Press decimal and we'll square off. We obviously need to solve this side the same as we've solved this side, haven't we? We must always have a picture frame border around like an extruded area, and this doesn't have it, does it? So we can easily calculate, if you just draw it on like that, just to help your brain out, then you know you need those diagonals like that, don't you? So if we just draw them in, you know what I mean? There's many ways of getting to the same point, but I like to draw my points in so I can see it, and then we know that we need to like merge that one into that one, and we need to merge that one into that one, don't we? Like that. Which then means we don't need these two middle loops here, do we? So, shall we try deleting them? Dissolve those edges. And then that middle one, we know we want that one. And it's going to be the same for this one now as well. We don't need this one. And look how much cleaner that geometry is now. It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Now, obviously we've got a corner up here, so we've got like one of those weird triangles. We could probably now start to maybe even like bring it over here, tidy it up, you know what I mean? But we obviously need to come in, square everything off a little bit now. Yeah? And now if we wanted to define this shape a little bit more, we'd obviously go in with an inset, wouldn't we, this time? Instead of trying to add the edge loops in, we'd do it the other way in a complete loop like that. Yeah, so you've got your edge loop in there. The inside probably needs maybe, because now we've created this loop, we can do this, you know what I mean? And we can define that shape a lot better then. And that's what I was trying to achieve before, but I was sending a loop across everything, weren't we? Now, if you look at that shape, it's absolutely perfect now, isn't it? So that's ideal now, I'd say. Lovely geometry. It's going to 3D print absolutely bang on that. And if we look, we've still got some like hard chunkiness to it. So this is what I'm trying to solve, basically, you know what I mean? Come in then and just grab that loop there, you know what I mean? Give it a G. And just try and round it up, you know what I mean? Probably come in and cheat and do it this way now. And if we just come in now and just try and like make it a bit rounded, because it's just not rounded, like so. And it immediately looks a world better, doesn't it? If we like check on that bit, we've got a bit across the, you can see what that is, it's this, isn't it? So, might be easier to drop onto his ones and grab them all. We basically need to tidy up this area here, don't we? If we get some GG and put it over here, we can probably start to, you can see it's sucked them in, so we're going to kind of want to reshape our circle after, aren't we? But we just need to pull that away from that edge. So it's creating a bit of an issue. But if we look, the GG might have helped us with making it smoother. So if we look on our mirrored side, so we can see, look for any imperfections, we can kind of see we cock on, aren't we? I'd say we've got a bit of fluff there, which would make sense, because we just now need to come in and smooth these off, don't we? With some GG. Get some GG down to the new thing that we've moved, and then pull it back up, and it should find the center point. If we look again, our shading's improved, hasn't it? Let's just round this inner corner now, which probably would make sense to give these, because that does look good. It's a tough one, because it's on such like a sharp bend. Might be worth coming in with our eyeballs on that one and just giving it a fluff like that. I'm just gonna leave it. You gotta be happy at some point, aren't you? So, what we can see is we're bunching up a bit there, aren't we? So, just a quick tidy. I think it's the best it's going to be. So the front end is a lot kind of rounder now. It would be if I put a shrub D on it, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Like that area there's more rounded. I'm happy. It's basically ready to print now, isn't it? We've got like crispy edges on the front, so it's not going to create printing issues. I can safely say we could print that now, you know what I mean? Sorry, I need a Mauam. I need some sugar. Oh, and I hate how they wrap them. Let me in! I'm kind of digging the fluorescent yellow ones, if I'm honest. It's kind of like got a Jimmy O feel to it. Or, if you want to be OG, Ken Block. So yeah, we've fixed up our geometry. I actually sat down to like look at it and prepare it for 3D printing. That was one of the issues. I feel like everything else is taken care of. I've just got to like tackle that light now, I think. Probably just integrate that puppy in there, you know what I mean? I did it wrong. And if I was to sell it as a 3D print, I want it right, you know what I mean? So we're going to save it and have a tea break. Hello. Hello. And then once we've done that, I came around the side, I didn't film this bit here, and what I basically did was these corners here, I tidied up a little bit of these corners, basically put a bevel in them the same way I've done before, you know what I mean? Try and move them around, can you see, look? So they've got like a stepped edge. There's a triangle there, but it's not causing an issue. I don't care, you know what I mean? There's a bit of a 5-pointer there. It is what it is, you know what I mean? It seems to be okay. If we come out, we check our shading, it's alright, you know what I mean? I'm happy with it. And I think the last thing we need to do is we need to integrate these lights into this model, don't we? It was an afterthought, I forgot about it, and this back end is actually a lot flatter, a lot more shaped to suit these lights as well, so there's probably going to be a lot of work involved in it. So I figured, shall we film an episode that's basically how to fix your model, you know what I mean? How to tidy it up, how to fix it, and how to add a another object into an existing mesh, yeah? Because that can be quite challenging. So, let's go. There's no tea breaks, I've already had it, sorry. There'll be no burps. So what do we need to do? We need to come in, we need to look at this model, and if we look at the geometry on it, we've got a nice area to work with, to be fair, aren't we? So, if we do some measuring, turn off our scene stuff, we can see this back end here. Turn those off, turn that off. We can see that back end kind of like is flat like there, you know what I mean? So it might be worth grabbing, say, those there and just flattening them, you know what I mean? So if we just go for see-through, we do the same what we just said, from there outwards, and have inspection. Definitely say that one, can't we? We might not need those ones, but we kind of need to make that area flat, don't we? So shall we just give it a try with a scale and a Y on a 0, just to see what happens? We can see it's not disturbed it too much, has it? Not at all, actually. We can integrate that, can't we? So is it worth trying to give it vertex smooth vertices as well? And it'll kind of like, you know what I mean, blend them in for us as well. And then after the fact, we're probably going to have to come in and just like make it work for us, you know what I mean? Turn off our update. I've been learning about this. If you're modeling, depending on what CPU you have, say like you have a Ryzen I've got a Ryzen, I've got 16 cores, which gives me 32 threads. It's a high core count CPU, but it doesn't have a high single core performance, you know what I mean? Like the hertz, usually you'll get like 5 hertz, 4.2s and stuff. I've got like a 4 hertz CPU. That's good for doing simulations, say like waters, stuff like that. Whereas if you want a good CPU for modeling, you want something that has something called a single core performance. Because when you say like moving those verts, it's only using one of those cores. So you just ideally you'd be good with an 8-core CPU basically. Just as long as they've got good cores, you know what I mean? I learned that last night. Might be useful. So this is where, say like your Intel 13900K CPU is better for modeling and doing this kind of stuff, but a multi-core CPU is probably better for doing special effects, you know what I mean? Like simulating waters, explosions and all that kind of thing. And that's why I went for a 5950X, which is a 12-core CPU. No, it's a 16-core CPU, which is effectively a Threadripper, but like casual spec, you know what I mean? And it's served me very well. But in this I've noticed, my point was, when I've got subdivision on and I try and move those verts, it kills my computer because my single core performance is quite poor for modelling, you know what I mean? Thought you might want to know that. Interesting. I don't know whether it makes sense. I don't know whether you heard it. My washing machine's going 10 to dozen at a minute. I don't know whether you heard any of that. But it feels like that probably should come over there. No. We're not going to mess with it. We've made a flat rear end, haven't we? It's actually quite happy with that. Probably say these ones here kind of want to marry in a bit better, don't they? But now we can effectively integrate alike, can't we? If we just punch them over there like that, so we've got our edge. We've got to like wait for the washing machine to kill itself first. So not necessarily the shape it should be, because I feel like it should be like kind of round there, but I've committed. You know how it is. Might be worth sending them up there, to be honest. Come on, washing machine, blow up and shut up. I mean, we just chuck them in the middle there, just to like help it out a bit. So that's kind of like a fussy shape here. Might need to like round that up a bit. Oh, look at it. Just look at it. The more you do, the better it gets. It's just the cold, hard truth, you know. Yeah, so now we've got something to work with, haven't we? We can probably turn on our rear lights now. We can see what we've got to work with. We know we need to integrate them in. That area still doesn't look anywhere near flat, does it? But it's what we've got. Might be worth even moving those lights over. So if we select those objects, probably come out here, make sure we've selected them, and just move them to the middle of that batwing there. Probably would make more sense. So the flat edge. Yes, the washing machine's dying. Finally. I feel like we could achieve it in a better manner. So is it worth going back to the point that we didn't? So we selected that area, then we flattened it. I'm not happy with it. I feel like this area here, we're going to do it a different way. And do that. I'll scale the X on a 0. Summit to work. Like that. Scale the X on a 0. And just move it out like that. Like that's our area, isn't it? How do I want to play this? It makes me wonder if I should just cheat and bring out, ignore the model, select all the objects, just move them forward a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that. Just to give me something to play with. Executive decision. Executive decision. I feel like I'm going to leave it like that. Because they fit into those vertex groups lovely, don't they? They fit into those boxes absolutely beautiful. We're going to be able to inset them and then just like draw out that line. Lovely. So it's like those two there. I need to kind of bring them up now, like there. like that. We don't have a defining edge on this edge, so we need to bring that one over there. Which means we can probably pull that to there, may as well pull that over. No, I mean, it's coming together. We can now probably share these out a little bit. So they've got some centers, you know what I mean? We're probably going to want our centers for the lights to help around them, aren't we? Yeah, that's actually worked out the perfect amount of geometry, hasn't it, when you think about it? Like these three here. Yeah, and it's a case of, do we want to integrate them into this, or do we just rebuild it? Because it's a very simple, so we may as well. So if we just turn those rear lights off, what we need to do is inset those areas, don't we? We need that one, we need to inset it like that. We need to do the same for that one there. We need to inset it. What we need to do now is somehow make that a circle, don't we? How can we do that? Can you remember? We put our 2's on. It's not a loop, sadly. But if we just select them all like that, we should be able to. We might have to do one at a time, thinking about it. If we just select one. Press N to bring up that panel if you didn't know. We might be able to just tap circle, and we've got one, you know what I mean? But it's probably going to have upsetted all the geometry. It has not. So if we give it a scale. Oof, we might have got away with this, boys. Because we can relax that at some point. If we now quickly check our lights there. Give it some see-through. Woof, that was a mess, wasn't it? So if we just scale it and try and... We know whereabouts we want to be, don't we? It doesn't need to be exactly on when you think about it. It just needs to be roundabout. So, turn those rear lights off. It's roundabout, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, we just need to like kind of relax that geometry in a bit, I'd say. It's like if we came in here, zoomed in a bit, we can see it's like stepping in, can't we? So, I might GG that to like correct. We can always recircle our object. We just need to make sure it's like matching that, you know what I mean? You just cheat and bring it down using your GG, you know what I mean? Follow the lines you're building. The power of the GG. That top one's not looking too bad, you know what I mean? Because we've kind of got to integrate it anyway, somehow. So, if we look at those two, probably bring them up to like there, like that. Bring that over. If we now still can't select the loop, if we select that one and press circle, again, it's going to tweak it in for us. Is it going to mess up our shape? We don't know. Let's delete this vertex. Let's see. It has, hasn't it? It's like kind of upset the shape. So, but does it matter now? It don't matter, does it? What we can do is soften in that edge there, can't we? We just pinch that kind of and just soften it in like that, you know what I mean? No one gives a damn then, do they? You know what I mean? No one gives a damn. So, what we can do now with this is select those and just extrude it in, can't we? And we're going to get that extrusion that follows the perfect white. Oh, look at that. That's way better than the other one. We don't need it to go in too deep, do we? In fact, we probably want it to come outwards for our 3D print model, don't we? That's a good point. Let's go outwards. You can always come in after and sort it out, can't you? And then we're obviously going to need to scale that on the Y to 0. Yeah? Look at that. We've integrated a headlight. All we've got to do now is bevel all that stuff up, haven't we? There we go. We've integrated the rear lights, haven't we? Look at that. I even copy and paste it so I don't have to do the paint. That's absolutely lovely, which means we can effectively delete. That's a lot less geometry compared to what it was. It was like probably 6. Let's have a look. What we gain in here is we had 4 layers. They all had subdivision. So when it comes to render, you just add in more junk to it, you know what I mean? So we can effectively delete that whole folder, you know what I mean? We don't need those lights anymore. So give it a save. Can we say this is ready for 3D printing now? I think it is. If I'm honest, I think it's ready. So with those quick tips sorted, I can come out I'm going to have a cup of tea, and I'm just going to sit there and stare at it. I love this bit, you know what I mean? I'm a painter at heart, you know what I mean? So when I paint stuff, I love, like, just like getting those little extra bits in. It's all about the last 20%, you know what I mean? So body-wise, I think we're good. We're probably going to have to start going over our extra objects now. We've cleared our body. Big tick. We need to now start coming through and checking these objects and logically thinking about how we're going to do it, you know what I mean? I'm going to show you some tricks in next bit. I don't know how this episode's going. This one's just going to be like an in-between, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to have to do stuff, you know what I mean? It's basically, how can I explain it? I've done a whole series, and I've filmed every single thing I've done, so I can't stop. This is like part of the in-between between having a finished model and actually getting it to the finish line, you know what I mean? What do you call it? When it's your first draft, isn't it? We've done his first draft, and we need to now isolate what's wrong with it. And that's the thing nobody ever does. They never, like, draw a picture and then look at it and go, that bit's shit. And then rub it out and redraw it, you know what I mean? That's a good artist, you know what I mean? If a good artist sees bad work, he won't release it, you know what I mean? So if you want to get better, that's how you get better. If it's shit, start again. Don't be afraid to start again, you know what I mean? It's dead simple. The hard work's done for us now, you know what I mean? Yummy! So where was we? We could turn them references off. What we need to do, we're saying that body, if we forward slash to isolate it, we're saying that body is complete and ready to 3D print. Are we confident? I think I am. The last thing you need to probably do is this one here, look, you know, on your information panel, is you need to come down to this face orientation. This is very important now. It must be the perfect Popper Smurf. And if you look round, slowly look for any fizzing, you know what I mean? Any troublesome areas, it will mean you've got bad geometry. We can't have bad geometry when it comes to 3D print. We just can't. The programs you'll be using with 3D printers are god awful. You need to make sure you do all the legwork in Blender first, you know what I mean? We've even got 3D print accessories we can talk about later on, but I don't really use them. You don't need to if you build the model correct in the first place, you know what I mean? So, what can we do now? We can drink us tea. I am extremely excited. But I fear we are nowhere near yet. I've learned out with 3D printing is I'm going to be printing this 4 times, correcting things. But I've done enough printing now to remember all those problems. So we can start ticking off any issues. So what we're going to do is we'll come into this. And if we look at our Smurf mode, we can you see the big red dot? So if we come into this, press tab, select everything. What it is, it's the normals are facing the wrong way. If we press Alt and N, you get an option like this. You can recalculate the outside, you can flip, and these are your shortcuts here, look, and you can recalculate the inside. I like to just use the shortcuts, but we know we just need to flip it. So if we flip it, come back, we've got a blue one. You must make sure everything is blue, yeah? So now we know that, we can probably turn off face orientation. Oh baby, check it out. Oof, she looks a beast. So what do we need to do next? We know the wheels are not part of the equation, aren't we? So if we just turn them off, because they are kind of distracting me, they look so cool. We need to think about, if we turn that, is all this stuff here, don't we? How are we going to print this stuff? This one here, this one looks an absolute doddle. I ain't worried about that, you know what I mean? It's all simple geometry. It's all tushed into each other, you know what I mean? So when we save that out, it's likely not going to be hollow anyway, so it's just going to be a solid object. We can get away with that, that's fine, you know what I mean? So we don't need to worry about that. I'm actually hoping to electroplate that. I don't know whether you're familiar with electroplating, but I want to have a dabble with that. And I feel like this is the perfect candidate. I just need to get some copper spray paint, you know what I mean? And then we've got our front bit, haven't we? We need to probably make this into a unit and decide what we're going to do with it, you know what I mean? How are we going to print this? Are we going to print those separately? We're going to print them all in one. So I'm enjoying it now as just a black thing, you know what I mean? So is it worth just adding this into that? You know what I mean? Because I know for a fact those fins are going to be tricky. I'm probably going to have to redo the print. I've tried printing turbos before, really small, and the fins are a nightmare. I know they are. Just because they're so thin, basically. So, shall we pick our poison? I feel like we'll do this one first, because I don't know, this first one here feels like the most difficult one. So, if we sort it out and do it, I feel like I want to just print that as one piece. I really do. I'm never going to want to spin it, you know what I mean? I don't need to. So we ideally need to scale that up, don't we? To tush those into each other. And it's the same for these, I think. We need to scale them up and just tush them in, you know what I mean? So when it prints, it's all one piece. And if we look on the rear end, we've kind of got an open rear end, don't we? Do we want this? We probably don't. We probably want to like isolate it, I'd say. So, because it'll just give us something easy, make it easier to glue to it, you know what I mean? So, if we maybe click this one, we need to somehow fill that rear end, don't we? So what we need to do is remove those faces, because we're going to want to, with our 2's, come into this one and fill that area, won't we? Yeah? If we just give it an inset, so it's nice and crispy, then we just need to do the same for the outside, don't we? Fill it, insert it, and if we quickly check our face orientation, because this is where it can go wrong, you know what I mean? We can see we've got an issue there. Always keep checking your face orientation. Select all, if you remember, just press Shift N and it'll flip it, done. So now we've got our object filled at the back, we need to make sure that that one's tushing into it, don't we? So, I love that word, tush. A bit of tush. Tushing it in there. Ooh, look at the tushy on that. It's just a good word, isn't it? You know what I mean? So now we've got this view on, we can come in with our edit mode and we can see we need to tighten up that area there, don't we? We probably need to inset it now. It's already inset, so we now just select that. Brr. Oof, pardon. And we just tush it in like that. And the computer can do the rest for us, basically, when we come to slice it. Now, what we need to think about next is these tabs here, if we was to print them onto this, they're gonna probably be in the way and like catch, aren't they? So if we just turn our Batmobile on, you know what I mean? They can't be like that. Yeah, they're not really ideal for 3D printing, they're not. I would honestly ditch them, if I'm honest. I wouldn't print them. But it's one of those, isn't it? You don't see them, and if you look at the front, is it really that important? It's one of those things, it's an executive decision in the 3D model, because it'll be so tiny, it's not worth, it's going to be troublesome to print that. So I feel like we're going to turn that off. So for now, we'll turn it off in a particular way. Where is it? Intake fan. Is it a bracket? This bracket here, we want it to render, but we don't want to see it in our viewport. You know what I mean? So it'll always be there when we render it, but we won't export it when it comes to finishing this model. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, if we now start making some room up here, turn those wheels off. We now know we have this object, don't we? It's a nice sealed object. It should wash out alright. It should be chunky enough. If not, we can always thicken these up. So we know we want that object, don't we? What we need to do now is we need to guarantee that it's going to sit in place, but this one, we're kind of lucky with this one. This one, it's a simple object and it's going to sit on a flat surface. We just kind of would, it'd be nice to have help centering it, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? So if we just put a sub D on that, we need to somehow tush this into this, don't we? So if I come into the side view, can we see? We kind of can, can't we? So we can see that that's, in a sense, tushing in, isn't it? So if we grab that edge loop there and we get some GG, we can, we can safely say that's like where the model starts, isn't it? Like the edge of that model. So if we say match that there, but come just a little bit past it, you know what I mean? If we zoom in so we can see it, I think if we zoom in, I think each one of those lines should represent a millimeter. So if we should now be able to like bring it in fairly close where we know we want it, like that, leaving us to be able to grab this one here. And what we need to do with this is taper it, because if you do a straight line, it's never going to fit in, I'll tell you that now. So if we taper this in like that, we can see we've like kind of distorted that model, haven't we? You could cheat now and you could use a mean crease, because what we need to do on this is guarantee that that's like flat on the edge. And personally, I would use a mean crease now, you know what I mean? Because it's non-destructive, it's quick, I'm not adding loads of geometry to it. And it's going to guarantee that that edge is straight, you know what I mean? And straightness is everything in these 3D print models. So if we look at that now, we've got a lovely straight model, haven't we? If you can see that one there, we probably shouldn't have put that one on. If we remove that one. But we do need to kind of guarantee that that loop stays straight, don't we? So if we just add in another loop there like that, we can come out, we've got like a nice smooth edge, it's kind of what we want, with like a crispy inner. It's now tushed into this object in a nice angle, you know what I mean? It probably could do with being a bit sharper, if I'm honest. You want like a 45-degree angle on it, ideally. So if we come in, we just press scale again, we aim for that 45 like that, yeah? What it's going to do now, what we can do now is use something called a Boolean. I don't know whether I've showed them you yet. There is an episode on my channel about this, about using Booleans, but what we effectively need to do is create a dint inside that, don't we? So how can we do that? Well, it's quite simple. With the object we've just created that we want to socket into, if we go to our modifiers and we generate something called a Boolean, it will be set up perfectly for what you want. We want difference. I have an add-on called the Booltron. I like to have this visual representation here. Can you see? So when you look at, like, say, difference, you can come up to here and you can see what it's going to do. Like union, it's going to fuse both, intersects the middle section, that's the outer section, yeah? So what we safely can say is if we click the Batmobile now as our object in this Boolean, when it shows up here, it's done loading, we can safely say if we hide that now, we should have a little indent in our car. Might not be able to see it. We might not be in enough, to be honest. Yeah? So, if we undo that hide there, we basically need to push it in a bit more, don't we? It's getting really difficult to see. What we can do is, with this Batmobile, is turn the mirror off, so we can actually see a bit better. There we go. What we can see is we need to push that into that, don't we? We have. Now, have we put it the wrong way round? This is also something. Boolean should have actually been on the body. Yeah? They're confusing Booleans, but they're really good. So if we just make those small and we generate a Boolean and we try it this way, same again, we want that object to Boolean into there, don't we? So if we select that one and turn it off so we can see, you can see it's took a chunk out, and that's excellent. That's what we wanted. The only thing is we wanted more, didn't we? So is it because our mirror's turned off? As you can see, look, it's made a lovely Boolean into the middle. You can see it's like affected our geometry. Can you see all that issuing there? It's basically, we've got shade smooth on, haven't we? If we shade it flat, it should be absolutely fine. Now, a 3D printer sees it in shade flat, yeah? It's going to print all these little squares, but because when we do it so tiny and small, we don't see them, you know what I mean? Shade smooth does not work in 3D printing, but you look at this model, yeah, you can see the squares. It's not really an issue. What we can do is just obviously crank it up to like sub D level 4, and it should be okay, you know what I mean? But in a nutshell, we've created our little dimple so that we can locate our intake when we put it in, can't we? Yeah, so you can just like bung a load of glue in it, and then just put it in and it'll put it smack bang in the center for you. That's very useful in 3D printing. And that's how a Boolean works. We effectively need to do the same for these objects now. Boolean them into the object so we know where they go and they'll sit in lovely. So, shall we try that now? If we look on this here, we know we're going to want another Boolean, don't we? These Booleans are very heavy on your computer, so be aware of that. What I probably should do now is separate this save file into a 3D print file, because I don't want to go any further doing this to what's going to be an animation file later on, you know what I mean? It's a different project now, so we need to create a new file setup. Fun fact as well, I watched Batman last night, the 1997 one, and it's not the 1997 one. That's full of like LEDs, it looks crazy. This one is the 1995 Batmobile. Fun fact. I feel like I should say something about that, you know what I mean? And I like to like just put 3DP for 3D print model. So if we save it, we can now start messing around with it and not caring, you know what I mean? So if we add another Boolean and see if our computer can handle it, basically. Because you can see it's like slowing down already, look. And what we need is basically those three objects. So what we could potentially do, I need to turn off my subdivision just so it speeds up. We need to change it to probably the collection now, don't we? So if we click collection, and we can basically say we want the side stuff, don't we? So if we click side stuff, it should do all of the side stuff for us. May take a while, but we're getting there. Yeah, so now we've done that, shall we turn our side stuff off just to check it? You can see, look, it's now Booleaned all those bits in for us. Absolutely dreamy. You know what I mean? This is what we're gonna need to do it. So, now we've done that, that's a lot of Boolean, isn't it? But we've got to put our shade smooth on, yeah, haven't we? So, shall we sit tight and let that cook? Honestly, this is an absolute computer slayer. This is what the multi-core CPU is supposedly good at, but because it's only using one core to do this, it's really slow. Because you got to think I've got to knock this up to subdivision level 4 before I export it to 3D print as well. You need a powerful computer to 3D print, I'm telling you now. I think I've killed my computer. What I like to do is bring up my task manager when that happens. Just to check to see if it's doing anything, you know what I mean? At the minute, my screen's frozen. Recording at the same time, you know what I mean? So, kind of having a minute. But, as we can see, it's not really doing out, is it? So, it's probably crashed. Come on here. I always try and like move the view, and if it don't move, you know, it's kind of like broke, don't you? So I kind of need to stop filming so I can make it. So after a very long time calculating, it takes a while, you know what I mean? If I show you this, it got up to like 60 gigabyte, you know what I mean? It takes a lot to calculate. So this is why we try and build it all in one mesh, you know what I mean? And just put in the hard work, because the amount of computing power it takes to use these like fancy modifiers is just like crippling for your computer, you know what I mean? So if we look, we've got some perfect little socket holes, some like guidance holes, haven't we? What we could say is that that big fan hole there, does it need to be that big? It'd be tricky to get it to push in that far, if that makes sense. We only need like this much rim, you know what I mean? So it's probably worth now. We turn that off, because is it easy enough to turn back on? Yeah. Whatever you do now on that model, it will kill your computer. Yeah. Just so you know, we're just in a stage now. We need to be logical how we're working. So we need to get that pipe, don't we? So we need our side stuff. We need the cone scoop, is it? Yeah, we need this. We need to make it a lot shorter than that, don't we? It just don't need to be that big. So go into this mode, because you've got the Boolean on as well now. This will probably like act all kinds of crazy. I think I've already killed my computer trying to go into it. It's a nightmare, Booleans. But now we know we've got it set up, we can basically turn it off. But I've got to sit here now for like probably 10 minutes waiting for it. It's a grueling process. But with the power of edits, it should be like lovely. 2 minutes. See how long it takes. I don't think I can record and do this at the same time. So after an extremely long wait, I have to basically turn off my screen recording, because everything just goes, you know what I mean? It canes it. What we need to do is, with this Batmobile here, if we click on it and go to, oh my god, everything we do now, it's going to literally die. So we need to like kill that Batmobile. We need to press that button there, but I don't think it's gonna let me. Fatal error. Hello? Oh dear. So my computer absolutely nuked itself then. So I've just had to kill it and start again. We've got our old Boolean on. What we need to do, once you've done the Boolean, we just need to turn it off. You know what I mean? Turn it off, because it is an utter computer killer. And if we see, we're like lovely and freed up now, aren't we? So if we add another, we put it back, we need another Boolean in, but we need to first turn it off. Just turn it off. It's not worth running it, you know what I mean? We know we want a collection. We know we want the side stuff, don't we? Yeah? That's where we got to, and then my computer just pooed its pants, basically. I've got a fairly hench PC, and Booleans, I don't know whether it's Blender can't handle them or what, but they're a nightmare, Booleans. But they're necessary, you know what I mean, in these situations. So we need to relax that geometry, don't we? We can now come in. It's lovely and dreamy to use again. Because that was sticking in too much, wasn't it? So we need to preserve up to there, really, don't we? We don't necessarily need much of this, whatever's going on here. So if we just suck it in. If we just suck them in like this, we probably want a fair few just to like guarantee our shape, you know what I mean? What we can do with this edge is use our useful mean crease, you know what I mean? No, we can't. Best not to, isn't it? So we need to inset it though. We need to bevel it somehow. So if we do this and we give it some softening, you know what I mean, like that, we can safely put it in like a 45-degree angle like that, you know what I mean? And if we really punch in that shape with some more insets, you know what I mean? Yeah, so we can look in here and we can see where we're sticking in as well, can't we? So if we grab this one here, what's going on with that one? If we check our faces, we can see we're alright. That seems fussy. Is there more than one there? Is that what's going on? Yeah, can you see that it's got a face on it? We need to delete the face of it. There we go. That was strange. If we look, all those loop cuts are necessary. We need to make sure that that corner is harsh there. You know what I mean? Could even like suck it in a bit at the bottom, but I don't want to. I feel like that's a nice enough depth. It's just it comes in a lot on this side here, you know what I mean? Well, the beauty of modelling is, like, you got to make that fit, you know what I mean? That's part of the fun, you know what I mean? You're going to have to sand it down and make it work. Let's have a go at trying to suck it in. Will it upset the shape too much? So we've kind of got like a flat socket that should sort itself out. It'll kind of be self-locating it, won't it? It is open anyway. Come in, really sharpen that up there. In fact, I'm just going to put another loop cut in that one. You know what I mean? I want extra crispy edges on that. If we give this a 3 and an inside, it's probably going to be like something to print off in it. So we've still got that hole in the floor. That is because we've moved this model into it. So we need to now come through, pick that one. Probably just send it back, to be honest. We've got plenty of room. Should give it a bit extra just to guarantee us a decent socket, yeah. So what we should be able to Boolean that now. Shall we try it? I'll turn off the subdivision and I'm going to go into that and turn that subdivision off. That should help us a lot. So if we go into this one and we knock on our Boolean, it's done it fairly quickly. And we can just come in and just hide it. See how it's a lot more cleaner in. Obviously it looks messy this because it's in a low subdivision, but that's nowhere near as far in, and it's like not a bad area to like if you want to just sand it down to get it in, you know what I mean? Probably like rub it around there or something. But it should be okay, like you'll press against that edge, glue with that edge, and then it should like just click in. You should be able to like force click it in, which is like absolutely perfect really. We do need to check that that's going to be okay. It should be okay. I'm kind of happy with the depth of these, maybe not so much that one, but it should be okay. It's going to be easy enough to sand them into it. I think we're there on the sides. The rear is a placard anyway, isn't it? We don't really need to. Again, it plenty of room. It shouldn't really matter, you know what I mean? The views don't count. So that's effectively good to go. We don't need to worry about that. It's all socketed in. So I do feel like it's now ready for 3D printing, basically. Other than the wheels. We've got to do the wheels, haven't we? Wheels are interesting. If we looked at our wheels, I've printed these before and I do believe these brakes are horrible to print, you know what I mean? So I'm going to have to come in and do some different wheels anyway. So I just think they're, I don't know, these are my good ones. They might be okay. We might be alright. I've probably fixed them before. You know what I mean? They're just the way they sat on that. It's not ideal for 3D printing. There it is. Look, you see how the back's empty on them? It's not the best model. They don't touch. Like, so we've got to come in and like rectify that on this. You know what I mean? Ideally, probably just fill it in. So I'd do that in my own time. You get the idea. But if I now go make a cup of tea and we apply these Booleans, we should have a model to export and 3D print, because the wheels are done separate anyway, you know what I mean? Hello! So, I've been faffing around for a while. I'm kind of stuck on wheel colour now. I don't know what colour to do it. I kind of need a bright colour to show you what I'm doing, you know what I mean? So, white's too much in it. So if we just go for traditional alloy wheels and we like kind of get some reflection. Yeah, I did have it on yellow, but it feels like it's wrong. We try some bronze wheels or something. You know what I mean? It's hard to decide. But I've had a redesign on the wheels anyway. I've kind of kept in context of what the Batmobile is. So if we look at the reference, it has this like big honky center cap. And what I did is I redesigned the wheels basically like they're similar to T's, but I've like made them my own, you know what I mean? And I've also made them separate objects. So like if we select this one, it's different. If we select that one, it's different. You know what I mean? Caliper's different, the brake's different, the center bit of that's different. So it gives us a bit of freedom basically. So if we zoom in, look, we can see it's a bit too close. You can see it's overlapping there into the caliper, into the brake disc, isn't it? So we need to kind of like select those three and we need to change our widget to individual origins to bring our widget down. And we need to just push it back, don't we? Because I've actually created a system. If I look in here, if we select this one, say this edge, we can start having a look at what I've done, can't we? We can see I've made some nice strong arms for the 3D printer because this is what I remember. You got to make it chunky. I've also put a little socket in here and this is to like connect to that that brake disc, so we need to somehow see them both, don't we? So what we can do is select everything like that and then press /, and it'll just bring that area in. If we zoom in, we're not doing bad, are we? We can see it's actually definitely gone in, so I feel like we've got that correct. Now we've got this, we can basically control how deep dish we want those wheels, you know what I mean? We can come in and we can crank them all the way back. Like that. And we can basically punch them all the way as far back as we want. It's probably best at trying to make it make sense. It's going to want like an offset of like the center, I'd imagine, won't it? So the offset is about there. You wouldn't want to go any further back than that, would you? And that's kind of given us a little bit of dish, hasn't it? If we click this one, we've gained some dish with that. What we could do is we could even improve that dish, because now we've got a separate wheel here. We can come in and adjust, say, these loops, can't we? There. So shall we try that now? If I put it in this mode, it might be a bit more easier to see, won't it? So what do we want to do? We kind of want to send those two in, don't we? So shall we have a try, have a practice? I love this bit, just doing wheels. Because I kind of, we wanted them to poke out anyway, didn't we? So if we select that bit there, we can adjust our wheel. And we can see where we start to come in and touch in. We need to like 50-50, I'd say, you know what I mean? So we're kind of getting that same effect as we did on the TE, but in our own like stylish manner with a nice bit of dish on it there. We've got a center offset, which is probably ideal because we've got to think, we've got to turn those wheels and they're never going to turn, are they? So, and we've got to put some wide bars on it, you know what I mean? And these have got to be like 305s or something like that. Where are they? Let's have a look at this tire there. We apply that scale, we press N to bring our side up. It's a 365mm wide tyre. Yeah, this is why you've got to use your measurements correct, because you can have fun like that. So now we've done that, we've created our own wheel, haven't we? Now, this is ideal for 3D printing. Why is that? If we, say, select these two, and we come into this here, you can see that it's a manifold object, can't you? Now, with this, with the center one, if you move it, you can see it's just starting to go into it, don't you? Because it's a manifold object, when it comes to 3D printing, that's okay. The computer can figure that out for you. You know what I mean? It's a simple object, it'll figure it out. Whereas if it wasn't close, say like those ends were open, it'd cause all kinds of trouble. Now, you could even Boolean them together before you send it, but because we're not going to be hollowing this object, we know it's going to be okay. We just don't need to. We can like just marry them together like that and it'll do it. We just need to... Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So we've effectively made our wheel now, haven't we? I can come and show you the wheel as well. It's not a realistic wheel. I basically just made a really fat chunk, you know what I mean? Done the same, touched them into each other, and you just got to make sure it's a manifold object. Yeah, so when you come in, it's lovely manifold. As long as it's flat, it don't matter. Now we've done this, we could probably, we know we're going to want to print them all those three together, don't we? So we could even come in now and press Ctrl and J, and it'll put them all in the same layer. Now, it's done funny things to that, because we need to shade it flat. See, now we've messed that up, haven't we? Because we've got a subdivision surface still on the caliper. So what we need to do is make sure we apply that. So if we apply it, because it's not a complicated object anyway, is it? Look, so we should be able to now, if we just check everything else, like that needs applying, we should be able to then just come in and join these together with a Ctrl J. Yeah? So it's just easier to select now, you know what I mean? The wheels are probably the same. We're pretty much, we know where we're at with them, don't we? So if we press Ctrl and J, join them together, and we'd probably safely say with the tyres we're in the same boat, but we should check them. I've not checked them. So we can see there, look, it's not touching, is it? This is what I'm saying about. If it's more obvious if we put a face on. Wow, big error. So if we select this one, select all, get some shift N. So it's right colour. You can see the inside, can't you? We shouldn't be able to see the inside. Papa Smurf is bleeding. So we need to fix that, don't we? So if we redo a /, it's basically because of that, isn't it? It's not a manifold object, so... You basically designed yourself some Batmobile wheels, you know what I mean? So now we finally designed the wheels, we need to like find a means of connecting them, don't we? If we come into it and we separate it off, I basically did it this way last time, didn't I? It's like an example, but it's not ideal. I might have even removed it. So what we need to do is we need to dissolve those, don't we? Yeah, so it goes back to normal. And we're going to do it the other way around with a Boolean, you know what I mean? I really do say that too much, don't I? So yeah, say we've got this wheel. When we're printing it, it's going to be printed from this side and supported in it. So we may as well have a big tree trunk that comes out of that middle anyway and sorts that out for us, don't we? So what I'm going to do, for the sakes of like dreamy modelling, I'm just going to put a cylinder in, but I'm also going to get some Shift S and put the cursor to the selection first, then add a cylinder like that. So if we just scale it down, rotate the Y90, we've got ourselves like a little peg we can work with, haven't we? You know what I mean? So, so if we like scale it, we want as much purchase as we can get, really. You know what I mean? We want all the purchase. So that's the maximum we can go without intruding on that, isn't it? So if we start to push it back, put a see-through on, it's probably not as helpful as we'd like it. We've got to remember we're not going to be able to turn these wheels, are we? Because we're building a 3D model. So we want to sneak it in a little bit like that, don't we? Yeah. So then what we need to do is come in and edit it. Grab that side. And you can see your brake caliper there, can't you? So we're going to tush it in halfway. We're going to put a loop cut on really tight to there to guarantee it's nice and straight into it. We also want to guarantee the same principle on this side. So with our loop cuts securely put in like that. Let's reset my view. We also need to do the taper effect here, don't we? So if we scale it in, or inset it, select that edge, and just give it some GG to like give yourself a nice little plug, you know what I mean? And what even might be worth doing is coming in on that edge and just extruding it a little bit like that, you know what I mean? Just to get a better click. Do the same, but suck it in. Do the same, but kind of like scale it this time to like make a bit of a clicker, you know what I mean? Click it in. I think I'm stuck on a loop now, I can't stop saying it. Define that one. I just like to put an extra one in just to be sure. If we guarantee a crispy edge again on that one, we should now be able to subdivide that. And we've got ourselves a lovely little plug. Yeah. We probably ought to define, you know, so we get the brake calipers kind of like spot on. That'd be useful, wouldn't it? So how could we do that? What we could do, if we flatten that edge around again, and this time, if we come across, we grab a knife, make sure we get half of it like that. What we can do is come in, inset that like we do, and we get to, what we can do is just extrude that a little bit, can't we, on our X. Scale it down, because you don't want a straight edge. It's called it's like a mold release edge, angle of pose or something like that. You know what I mean? You want this nice edge like this. So if we give it a control B as well, we make that super tight. We've basically got like a angle socket, you know what I mean? That'll help us out lovely like that. So if we back out and get some control 3 to smooth it out, just make sure it's all okay. We've basically got like something that's gonna keep it the right way up, you know what I mean? We know which. So I found that when you're trying to glue them on, they move and they turn, and then like you're not getting your calipers right way around, stuff like that. So let's give this an insert. It's not really integral, it's just a tush into it, tidy it up. We could basically apply that subdivision because we're done with it, you know what I mean? It's just a plug, but we're not, because that's just silly. Because straight away we need to insert that. Insert. Do it tighter because they overlapped then. We should be okay there. Come out, got a lovely plug. Wheat. Notice down like they're nice and round as well, so it's not like I'm gonna catch trying to go in like a really tight bit. So yeah, we've basically built our wheel setup for 3D printing, haven't we? All we've got to do is make sure we Boolean that into that. Now obviously, if we click on our objects, the Boolean with a collection of the side stuff, all we'd need to do is chuck that into the side stuff folder and it'd do the same thing, wouldn't it? So it's a new object. Shall we say wheel axle? Yeah. We need to make one for the rear, don't we? Well, that's next. So if we just chuck that into the side stuff, then we know it's going to Boolean when we turn it on, which we don't want to turn it on because it'll destroy us PC. That's at the very end. We've also got another Boolean going on there, haven't we? So it might be worth chucking this item, this intake fan, into the side stuff folder so that we don't have to have two Booleans going on, because that's just a kiss of death, to be honest. So yeah, if we delete that one and then get the intake fan, chuck it in the side stuff, boom, you're away. We've basically done it. Now this wheel, ideally, just wants to be one object. We know all the objects are good. We can always break it apart if we want to later on, can't we? So if we just press Control J now, merge them all, it's just going to make our life a lot easier. It may have broken it as well. It did. If we undo that, basically, we can't have any subdivisions on it. So we've got to make sure we've got them all taken care of, you know what I mean? If we turn that down to 3, we can come in and we can check our subdivision. I feel like I'm happy. If you press save and you're not happy and it goes wrong, you know, stop saying it, Dave. Stop saying it. We need to basically apply our modifiers, don't we? So we can join them all together. I'm happy with them. They're easy peasy to rebuild. Yeah. So now I can come in and just select everything, press Control J, and it's just one object then, ready for printing. We even need to include that realistically. But we're unsure because we're going to duplicate it for the rear soon, you know what I mean? So we just don't, it don't matter. Let's join them all together. The last one you click is obviously going to be the one that it joins to, so press Control J. That object now is all one, isn't it? Again, we have an issue with the modifier. We need to apply that modifier first before we join it. Now we've got a lovely one-pieced item ready for 3D print. What we need to do now is send this across to here as well. I've been thinking about the lowness of the car. What do we do? With the rig, when we rig it, we can just like adjust the suspension and make it sit right, because a car under acceleration should squat anyway, so you kind of want, it's how they're designed, you know what I mean? So yes, we could lower it, but it won't be level on the floor, and at the minute it's really handy it being level. But for 3D print, I don't see why we couldn't just send those wheels up, but then it'd look weird because it kind of needs it like that, if that makes sense. I can't go any bigger with a wheel. What we could do as well is this one here. We need to come on and find it. We need to name it our wheel, don't we? What's this thing here? What is that thing? Yeah, we're not bothered about that one. Right, come on, Daniel. We know we want this one, so what I'm going to do is drag it up to scene selection like that, so it puts it here. I'm going to put, what shall we call these Batman wheels? Batman's LMGT3s. Yeah. Ooh, it's changed. Oh, that colour's way better as well. Yeah, buddy. Right, so now we've got that wheel, we can basically come in and just delete all of that folder. It's not done it how I want, because this is connected to an empty. Now, I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm just going to unparent it, because I need to do a decent one for that, really. It's coming, don't worry. Which means now, I can come in here, delete all them. We've got our one wheel now. What we need to do is duplicate this wheel. That's why we joined them all, so we can just click on it now. Press Shift D and send it down the Y plane, exactly the Y. You can see that the wheel on the rear is like a 350Z. We've got to make it bigger. You've just got to. So if we come in, we need to make a floor, so I can measure the floor now. Can I just quickly add in a plane like that? If we scale it out, make it a bit bigger. Move it. Come into the side like this. So I could just gauge the floor. What we could do then is effectively match that hole, can't we? Let's just make sure it'll fit in the hole first. I mean, that's pretty spicy, isn't it? So, if we just nudge it out. What do you have camber, do you think? So, what's it gonna look? To say that's low, that's actually touching the floor, I think, as well. Where's that plane? I think we've done a better job this time round than last time. We do need to lower it just a frazzle, like that much. That's just probably going to make it more realistic. Check our plane. Still needs to come down a bit, I'd say. Let's come down to there. It's definitely touching. Could that one go up? I like the wheel gap on that. I don't want to touch that. I really like it. See what I mean? You've got to kind of bring them down. Keep checking. What I could do with that plane is if you just enter it and extrude it down the Z. It's going to make it a lot easier for me. You can see, I've just got like, that's what you do, like you kind of just touch the floor through on the tire. Can you see how it's like just coming through? That's how the rigs all work. And it creates a bit of a flat bottom, which is realistic. So we can now say, oh, he's got a little pedestal. We've put ourselves some wheels on, haven't we? And because we've merged them all, here's another bonus of that. So we can just put a mirror on. We could even join those two together and mirror those, but there's no need. If we mirror that, we obviously need to apply all our transforms now. And do the same for this one. Bias transforms. We've got ourselves a wheel setup. Awesome. We are ready for 3D printing now, I think. I think I've finally done it. Oh, baby. I feel like Batman needs his own little car park. There we go. Oh, check your little car park out, lad. Oof. Let's get it down. He's on a trailer now. Hold up. Let me just model a trailer. I bet I could download. If you've noticed this, I'm a big Blender kit kind of guy. Pretty interesting texture, actually, isn't it? I'm kind of digging it. I think I've got my thumbnail sorted there, to be honest. Oh, yeah. Check it out. Now, I've had a look at the windows. The reason why they're so dark is because it's dark inside, you know what I mean? They are see-through if you look through them. For lighting. We're ready for 3D print now. That's absolutely wicked, that base. I really like this base. I think I've finally finished my 3D print model. You gotta stop somewhere, aren't you? I think my brain's gone, to be honest, but would you look at that? For a world view on. Damn. Holy diver. I'm absolutely blown away by that. I'm blown away. I can't wait to 3D print this. I don't feel like I need to show you how to 3D print, do I? You know how to export. If you don't, there's probably another video that you can click on my channel. I've done quite a few 3D print stuff, so I'm burnt out. I might even refilm this outro, to be honest. I'm right happy with that. I'm so happy. Just want to chill out. Look at it. I can't wait to 3D print it. I really can't. I can't 3D print it till after Christmas is over because it's like smelly and messy, noisy, all that kind of thing. I'm kind of set up for Christmas at the minute, so I even think if I click on this, I don't even think I've got a shade smooth on that. It looks so good, man. It looks so damn good. I feel like them grills. Oh my god, it's a mess there though. I mean, look at that there. Really not happy with that. But you just have to pick and choose your battles, you know? You know what I mean? Look at that. Diabolical mess there, but I feel like a bit of sandpaper will get that. You know what I mean? If all else fails, just a bit of sandpaper. I mean, come on, check it out, man. That's gotta deserve a like button, ain't it? Come on. I'll be making more of these. I can't wait to do another series, honestly. I can't wait. But life and Christmas and, you know what I mean? I've got to take a break. But I can't wait to do something else after this. I kind of want to do more Batman stuff because it just suits me to the ground. Like, I'm heavy metal. I'm a drift boy, and I just like leery stuff. I'm like an anime kid, mecha kid. And it's just like Batman is just an accumulation. It's like if James Bond was into heavy metal, he'd be like Bruce Wayne, wouldn't he? Like, oh, I'm into that. I watched Batman last night. Oh my days, I can't believe how ridiculous it is. The new Batmans, where they go really serious and dark, they've ruined the whole franchise. Batman was always meant to be slapstick comedy, like just awesome visuals with cool gadgets, you know what I mean? And they've lost the plot with the new Batman. It's so depressing. I think I put the new one on. I lasted like 4 or 5 minutes or something. I was just like, I'm not in the mood to be absolutely miserable for 2 hours, you know what I mean? Like, no. I want joy. So comment below what mods you would do to the Batmobile. That's very important, actually. If you've enjoyed this series, like pretty much everyone who's enjoyed it has said thank you. But if you, I think there's got to be like 60 lurkers that you've watched every single episode. I know you have. I can tell. Just comment below what you would like to like modify on this car, because I'm doing it. It's having a livery. It's gonna have a big wing. It needs some headlights. It's gonna have some side splitters. It needs like another side splitter for me. I need to fill all that gap in. It just bothers me. But I'm trying to stick to the script. There's gonna be a massive time attack front wing. Those grills there, we could put some like shark fins on it and stuff, you know what I mean? Oh, there's so much we could do to this car. It needs a turbo upgrade for its jet engine, you know what I mean? We could probably put like 6 turbos down that bonnet and like some bonnet vent exhausts. Oh, there's so much we can do to this car. It's gonna be fun. So what do you want to do to the car, you know what I mean? Look at it, looks so good. We've got to knock a render out of that, haven't we? No, I've broke my computer. At least I saved it. Broke it.